Hi everyone, and welcome back to another video. Or if it's your first time here, welcome. Now today's video is a part 2. Some months ago, and yes, I'm aware it is now some months ago, I pulled some orchids off a mount that was falling apart. And I think I called the video Reviving Old Mounts. Now it has taken me up until now to revisit and get to part 2 of that video, but we are finally here. So if you haven't seen part 1, I will leave it up in the corner of the screen and also at the end of this video. You don't really have to watch that one before this one, but if you want to see the orchids as they were when I started pulling it apart, by all means go back to that one and then come back to this one. So why did it take so long? Well, I have been looking for the proper replacement mount for quite some time, and for some reason I'm just not able to find them. What I wanted to do was to put them on a mount that they're somewhat familiar with. They came off a sort of a coir tree fern mixed coir mount, and this mount is a tree fern mount. But you can see I've actually tied 2 mounts together, and I've had to do this because I haven't been able to source mounts that are longer. I know that there are mounts of this variety that are longer. They just haven't really been around and for sale lately. So I've had to bite the bullet. I bought 2 of these mounts and I've tied them together. And this is what we're going to run with. But yeah, I've tied the 2 mounts together to give me plenty of room to put these orchids on. And we are going to complete part 2 of this project. So if you're interested, stick around. I didn't think I was going to need to get my sunglasses out for this video. It was raining earlier and I thought, okay, so I need to film this video. It's been way too long since I've actually done this part 2. I need to get this part 2 done. I'll take everything upstairs into the red room, and then it stopped raining and the sun came out. Then it started sprinkling again. And now the sun's almost out, but it's really, really glary. So it just can't make up its mind. So I'm really sensitive to the glare. Is anyone else really super sensitive to the glare? I start sneezing when it gets really glary. Maybe it's just me. But anyway, let's get on with the project. So I've got a ton of sphagnum moss here, all pre-soaked and ready to go. I have my mount, or my mounts that I have essentially tied together to create one slab mount. As I said, this is tree fern. There's no coir in this one. It's strictly a tree fern mount, but it's going to be really good because it's going to hold moisture. And where these orchids are, they're going to be in a temperate environment, and it does get a little bit dry, and you know, it's not the most humid environment, so you want it to be able to retain moisture. I have my orchids in buckets, which they have been in for months. And now essentially what we're going to do is make sure all of these get onto all of this with moss covering it, tie it all up, make it look good, and then we have finished our project. So let's go through the orchids of what we've got. So first of all, we've got this one. This is a Kingianum orchid. Might be I doubt it's a full species Kingianum. And I don't know where I'm going to place these orchids, so we're just going to sort of make it up as we go. But yes, the first one is a Kingianum orchid, and it's been sitting in the bucket. It's actually got some pretty good root system on it for something that's been sitting in a bucket for several months. I did clean those up. I did check everything and clean it up yesterday in preparation for this video, but that's our first one. And I don't think there's nothing else in that bucket, so we'll put that to the side. The second, we've got some Epidendrum orchids. Some people know these as crucifix orchids. These are a bit wily. So there's one here, and there's a bigger one here. So we'll have to figure out how they're going to go on the mount as well. So we might just put these on the side for now. And we've got more Kingianum. And I've got another little tiny piece of Kingianum here. So it's got some pretty good root systems on them. I might have to try and figure out which way they're going to go. and how we're going to get everything placed onto this mount. And they all came off a mount that was probably double the size of this current one in terms of length, just not in width. We'll figure it out. So that's all the orchids. There's no more. Oh, no, I lie. Another little bit of Kingianum. So Kingianum, that's Dendrobium Kingianum. Some people say Kingianum, depending on where you're from. And that's like three pseudobulbs. Oh, 4 pseudobulbs. Maybe 3 pseudobulbs and a keiki. These are keiki machines. This is a really easy way to tell where the new growth is going to come from. See these little tiny pseudobulbs here, these ones back here. They were the original growths, and as they get bigger and bigger and bigger, these are the newest growths. So it's going to grow this way, at least initially. It may then branch out to grow in other directions if it gets more growth points, but initially that's a good way for good example of where you can see where the growth point direction of the growth is going. So we're going to make sure that this is either on a corner or on a side of this mount somewhere, so it can grow inwards. That's what we've got. We've got all that to work with. So now it's really going to be just a matter of figuring out where we're going to place these orchids and how we're going to place these orchids. And to do that, it's just a bit of trial and error. So this is the biggest piece. So we'll situate this. Should we situate that straight in the middle? We probably need to put him straight in the middle, hey? Instead, we want to put this edge, so we might actually pop that one, say, here. So that's got a bit of growing room, but it's not going to grow. It's going to grow sort of towards me. So we can put sort of that one, highlight it for there. What are we going to do with this? So that root is no good, and that root is actually now no good. Oh, okay. Well, we'll have to take that off as well. We might have to lay these down, make sure that they've got moss on them. We might put them so that's the top of the mount. So perhaps we'll actually make sure that they are laying down. Their stalks grow that way. So being that's the top, I'll take this little baby off here. We can deal with him later. So these are the two biggest pieces we really need to be most concerned about, and we want to make sure that are situated together. So what we can do is pop them in like that, and eventually, or maybe back to back like that. And we can even look at temporarily tying those two together. In fact, that's a really good idea. Let me get some clips, which I should have gotten in the first place. I'll be back. Clips are very, very handy in such situations, because in using clips, you can actually help tether plants together. That will help hold them into position until you're ready to remove the clips. But this will give us just a little bit of an idea as to how it's going to look and behave. All right, so now we have this here. This here, we might actually throw that one at the top. Might just tuck that under there. And then we can throw the smaller pieces of Kingianum around the rest of the orchid. I might put this little piece in this corner down here. I'm going to wrap that up like that. I might put a little clip to hold him down. I've got this biggest piece here. So again, you can see the new growth is coming this way. So it's really sort of growing that way and also probably this way. So what we can do with this one is we've got a big space that we can fill here. I'm not sure if I like it there. Let's see how we're looking from the top. Sometimes you need to stand. If we pop that in there like that, and we've got that Epidendrum orchid in the middle of the two Kingianum pieces, that'll look nice. And this Kingianum piece I'm going to pop straight up on the top in here. Like that. Not sure about this one. I'll just tuck him in under there. So in terms of positioning, I'm pretty happy about that. So now essentially I'm going to start packing the center of this with sphagnum moss. And I'm going to start at the bottom. So I want to be fairly liberal with the sphagnum moss so the roots can grow into it. I know they're going to grow into it. I can take out those clips as I go. I want plenty of sphagnum moss in the center here. I want to take out this clip now and put a whole heap of moss. I'm going to stuff this moss under here. Going to take that moss and put that moss here. And I'm going to put some more here. And a little bit more, essentially here. So now I've got a fair degree of moss packing this first third. So I want to make sure that that is secure, which it pretty much is. And it certainly will be once I tie it, because I'm going to be tying this down. So I want to start the tying process now. So I'm going to be taking a good 2 lengths there, and I'm going to put these 2 ends together because I'm actually going to double up the string a bit. So now I have, if I follow those, so I've got the 2 ends together here, and following this piece up, I've got my loop here. I'm just going to sort of bite the end of it. It creates a little bit of a fold. So now I can actually see that fold a little bit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create, by putting the loop inside, or putting the other string back inside the loop, I'm going to create kind of like this. And now I can slide it, my mount. Now, some people may not want to do it this way. That's fine. However you want to do that, that's up to you. I like doing it this way because to me it makes it really easy to be able to create the first loop. And all I have to do is pull that down. And I can loop it back this way. And I can start feeding this through and pulling that down to make sure that that's nice and secure. And I'm pulling it down pretty hard because you want to make sure it's nice and tight. So it may go all the way over it one more time, and then I can thread it through that and make a tie down point. So I might pull these a little bit apart, start going through some of the Kingianum canes at this side. Okay, make sure that I'm actually going through the Kingianum canes on this side. Like so. Right, and now I can just put it on its side. I can keep these 2 ends together, and I can feed them through any one of these to create a tie-off point, just using a hitch. Again, that's fine if you don't want to do it this way. No problem. No one said you had to do it the way that I did it. But I just find that this is a little easier, and what else is easier is to make sure that you've got the 2 ends at the same, so you've got the 2 ends together, because it just makes it easier when you're threading it through. And then I'm threading that back on through itself. And nylon string is a bit of a pain in the butt. It doesn't tend to want to tie down. A lot of people use pantyhose, like old pantyhose. I haven't tried that actually. I should give that a try one day. I'm going to make sure that this is nice and tucked in. because I'm going to be packing now this side of the mount with sphagnum moss, nice and tightly packed in there. Put some up there. I want to put some on top of this big nice root here. How has everybody's week been? Hopefully you've had a good one. It's starting to get quite cold here down in Melbourne. Our weather is definitely getting some cold to it. I went upstairs into the attic, I think this morning at about 6:30 in the morning, and it said 0 degrees, and I'm like, that's cold. Packing a little bit more moss there. I'm going to spread that out with the fingers. I'm going to put a little bit in here. Right, I think that is enough. So now essentially I'm going to need to tie the rest of that down, and essentially we are done. Now I'm using this mono fishing line. I'm not really happy with this mono fishing line, to be honest, but it's what I've got, so I'm going to use it until I've used it all up. But I'd rather some slimmer fishing line, or maybe I will move to using pantyhose or something like that, because nylon, trying to tie nylon into a knot and actually get it nice and tight, I hate it. 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 But that's what I've got at the moment. I need a couple more strings of this. So I'm going to get a couple more lengths of this. Going to get 2.5 lengths of that-ish. I'm essentially going to do what I did before. So for those that are interested in an update on Buns, so Buns is now 8 weeks old. And he has hit the I'm terrible stage. So he is a bundle of energy. He's just one great big Energizer bunny that, well, he's a toy that just doesn't require batteries, that's for sure. He is terrorizing my other two boys in the sense that he pounces on them on a regular basis. It's quite funny to watch sometimes, but yes, sometimes they do need a break from him, because he gets very rambunctious a lot of the time. He is of that age where he's just all energy and all exploration, all curiosity. It's beautiful to see. But yes, if the boys are trying to just have a moment of peace, they're not really getting it right now. So, except for when I take Buns into another room to give him some active playtime, which gives the boys a bit of respite. But yeah, it's quite fun to watch. But they're still doing well, relatively speaking. They're grooming him. He's lying down with them. They're cuddling a little bit together, not all the time. And, you know, it doesn't mean that they don't hate him. They very well may hate him. What have I done there? This is why I hate working with nylon. Honestly, nylon is just the worst. Whoever invented nylon wires like this, expecting people to be able to create ties with them, honestly, just go get yourself in the bin. They're ridiculous. All right. So I'm going to create another one of these loops, and I am going to go over the top of the orchid, and I'm going to start working my way and running my way down. Turn this orchid around here, or turn the entire mount around. Go over the crucifixions. Sounds a bit weird to say. Go over the crucifixions. Go over these orchids. Go over the hooks. Make sure it doesn't feed back on itself. Another reason I hate nylon. No, don't do that. Ah, you bastard. Oh, it's getting hooked on everything. It's getting hooked on roots. It's getting hooked on stalks. It's getting hooked on everything. All right, so we'll get it under there. Pull it under there. Oh, you're kidding. You're kidding. This is the worst. All right, so now we're going to give it a good pull, because I really want it to pull there so I can then start bringing it back this way, separate them, and I want to be able to go over around some of these other stalks to be able to hold the moss down in place. So I'm going to put you on the other side. We don't want to smush the stalks, we want to smush the moss. Okay, so I want that to go around. Good. Pull that tight one more time. Go between you. Okay, I want to pull that down over this way. Pull that over this way, because I really would like to be able to pull that down like that. Pull that over here. And with these two ends, I'm going to tie this off. I'm cutting a number of different hitches here because the nylon really likes to undo itself, and it can undo itself pretty easily. Just want to make sure I go over and loop it through a number of times so it actually holds and doesn't undo. So we'll leave that there. Right, so here we have it. All of our orchids are on our new tree fern mount with lovely fresh sphagnum moss. This is ready to be hung up anywhere really, as long as it's outdoors, because these orchids really do appreciate the cooler temperatures. Do we like how it looks? I like how it looks. Alright, so thank you so much for coming to watch this video. If you've gotten value out of it, give us a like. Subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more videos like this one. And I'll see you at the next one. Bye.